I'm Robin. I currently live in Lviv, Ukraine with my wife and our dog. My wife is Ukrainian and our dog is boy. I'm making this video since I started getting a lot of concern from friends and family over the situation on the borders with Russia and Belarus. I'll be giving a brief overview of the conflict as well as my thoughts on the situation. I wanted to make a talk fast, eat ass style video, so with that out of the way, here we go. First of all, Ukraine is Ukraine. Not the Ukraine, just Ukraine. Ukraine is here. Lviv is here. And the capital, Kyiv, is here. Lviv is on the opposite side of the country from the current war zone, which I'll be discussing later. First of all, I'd like to get through some fun facts about Ukraine. Ukraine is the largest European country wholly contained within continental Europe. This is Ukraine's flag, the blue representing the sky and yellow representing wheat, as historically Ukraine has been famously known for and fought over for its fertile soil. The official language of Ukraine is Ukrainian. It's prettier than Russian and has these extra characters in their version of the Cyrillic alphabet. Ukrainian food includes borscht, the red beet soup, and vareniki, which are dumplings that are stuffed with mashed potatoes and meat and various other different stuffings. The demographics of Ukraine are this. The national clothing of Ukraine is the vyshyvanka. This refers to the embroidering on clothing for both men and women. Ukraine declared its independence in 1991 following the fall of the Soviet Union and has since endeavored to assert its independence from Russia. Back to the conflict. The conflict on the borders are here and here. These are the occupied territories of Donetsk and Luhansk. The war started following the Revolution of Dignity in 2014, also known as Euromaidan or the Maidan Revolution, where traitor fuckface President Yanukovych was ousted from his position and fled the country as a result of him refusing to sign an agreement closer tying Ukraine with the EU that was universally popular among Ukrainians. This led to large-scale protests and riots in the capital of Kyiv, resulting in the deaths of 112 protesters and 18 police officers. The 2015 documentary Winter on Fire covers this event in great detail. Yanukovych fled to Russia where his allegiance is clearly aligned, and the Ukrainian parliament voted to relieve him from his duty in a unanimous vote of 328 to 0. Yanukovych did not accept this turn of events and still to this day claims to be the legitimate president of Ukraine.
Остановитесь!
Pleading to Russia to send troops to the regions of Luhansk and Donetsk, where he was popular during the election prior, as well as Crimea, a strategically advantageous peninsula where Russian special forces took over the Crimean Supreme Court, terminated the prime minister, and installed a pro-Russian separatist. An illegal referendum was held, and Crimea was annexed March 16th of the same year, 2014. Following the annexation of Crimea, separatist groups in the east of Ukraine known as the Donbas region held further illegal referendums in April, backed by Russian insurgents posing as civilians, see here and here, as well as military support. The Russian-backed separatists in Donetsk and Luhansk declared themselves independent from Ukraine in late April of 2014. Russia's goals of destabilizing independent Ukraine have since continued, and the war in Donbas has continued ever since. Now, since the former president was very cozy with Russia, the Ukrainian military had been nearly disassembled leading up to his ousting from power. At the time, self-organized volunteer soldiers joined the Ukrainian war effort, being sent munitions and supplies by their families and close community due to the lack of state funding for the standing army. Food, clothing, and oftentimes weapons and protective gear needed to be sourced from individuals and their communities to support the scant military. The following president and former president of Russia and Chocolate, Petro Poroshenko, dedicated large sums of his own money as well as redirected the tax budget to prioritize rebuilding the Ukrainian military. His administration focused on regaining the annexed and separatist-controlled territories, as well as strengthening Ukraine's economic bonds with Western European countries. Many of these issues came to a head in 2019 when, riding on a wave of populists coming to power in various countries around the world, notably fuckface crybaby Donald Trump and 4-year-old ratty toothbrush you really need to replace Boris Johnson, it was here when Ukraine elected a populist of their own, dumbshit comedian Volodymyr Zelensky by a margin of 73% to 24%. Prior to becoming president, Zelensky was an actor portraying a dumbshit nobody who accidentally became president in the show Servant of the People. Lo and behold, the stupid joke had come to pass. On top of having zero understanding of government and failing to put forward any political platform, he spewed many nonsense claims accusing the administration of all forms of corruption without any evidence and avoided any and all debates, before challenging then-President Poroshenko to an absurd drug test in a stadium before agreeing to participate in a debate, which of course Poroshenko agreed to, and of course which Zelensky cried a foul and backed out of. Despite his clear unfitness for the position, Zelensky's superior marketing and campaign strategies netted him the presidency. The significance of Zelensky's incompetence is twofold. Firstly, his lack of any clear campaign platform or understanding of government served to further destabilize Ukraine and alienate Ukraine from its European allies. Secondly, his frequent capitulations against clear demonstrable Russian aggression along the Ukrainian border and within the occupied Donetsk and Luhansk regions have allowed Russia to escalate its provocations to the present circumstances, alongside corrupt, cocksucker Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko, allowing Russian troops to utilize the Belarusian border with Ukraine. As of May 2021, approximately 14,000 casualties have been reported in the Donbas region, including 3,393 civilians, 4,629 Ukrainian troops, 5,771 separatist troops, and between 400 and 500 Russian troops. Russia's excuse of defending Russian diaspora to destabilize independent nations can be seen in other countries, including Georgia and Moldova, and range from undercover infiltration to back insurgents, to cyber warfare and misinformation campaigns. One such large operation covered in the OSIT Bellingcat Wagnergate investigation that came out late 2021 reported on a Ukrainian state intelligence-sponsored sting of Russian mercenary groups being deployed to the occupied territories, and the ultimate failure of the Zelensky administration to respond accordingly and capture the Russian insurgents. Misinformation campaigns in Ukraine are regularly being debunked by the YouTube channel Stopfake, and several countries have identified similar other Russian tactics employed in various media circles, especially surrounding political discourse and conspiracies. Russia has been sanctioned by the US, the EU, Canada, Japan, Australia, Iceland, Albania, Montenegro, Norway, Switzerland, and of course, Ukraine. Russia's primary export being oil, and the plummeting prices of oil and petrol have caused hundreds of billions of dollars lost and a crash of the Russian ruble. The gobshite bitch clown manlet Vladimir Putin, Russian dictator and clinically insecure shit heap, functions around the preservation of his cult of former Soviet glory. Despite the Soviet Union's role in beginning World War II, see Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, many modern Russians get nostalgia boners in the belief that the USSR single-handedly ended the war, and the Soviet Union was the greatest country in the world, only failing due to the corrupting influences of the US and other Western forces. In reality, the Russian Federation is an oligarchy headed by a petulant, cowardly strongman, whose only export is oil and disinformation. Attempting to exert pressure on former Soviet states only serves to preserve the illusion of being a relevant power in the modern global discourse. Rather than trying to steer conversation or national growth with economic leadership and diplomacy, Putin's administration has opted towards throwing chocolate bars into crowded swimming pools, spreading rumors about who shat the party, and then bragging to their gaslit captive audience that the world fears them because they're great, meanwhile assassinating journalists and political opponents, imprisoning dissenters, and destabilizing neighbor countries that are better off without them. It is my objectively correct opinion that Putin is to be mocked for the pathetic, unscrupulous twat that he is, and not for the wannabe gangster he pretends to be. That's the rough state of things. Since even before 2014, Putin's administration has been a nuisance to the entire world, attempting to destabilize other nations because they can't hide the fact that his government has nothing to offer the Russian people, besides the illusions of respect and fear. As things are, my family and I in Lviv are making preparations for ourselves and my wife's extended family in Berdyansk should the conflict escalate beyond the occupied territories of Luhansk and Donetsk. At that point, Russia will have stated to the world a full declaration of war against not only the Western powers, but against the reality that Putin's government has nothing to offer the Russian people or the world. Thanks to everyone who's been checking in to see that we're doing all right. Putin, if you see this, kill yourself. Zelensky, if you see this, take Putin's dick out of your mouth and defend your fucking country. Biden, if you see this, close down the immigrant detention camps and forgive my student loans, you fucking narc. Links to all the sources I discussed can be found in the description below, as well as a link to the Comeback Alive Fund to support Ukrainian soldiers. Last fun fact, Vlad is not short for Vladimir, Vlad is short for Vladislav. The correct abbreviation for Vladimir is Vova, so stop calling Putin Vlad, his name is Fuckface McBitch Nuggets. Slava Ukraini.